That is a brand new song titled My Mind is Out of Its Mind, produced by John Carroll Kirby, who I think is one of the best music producers around today. It is, of course, a song that, even with its mellow vibes, reflects our times, the boredom and frustration some of us are experiencing in the midst of this pandemic. Because even though it feels like yesterday's news, the coronavirus is still around. It's not going away. Not anytime soon. But this isn't preventing museums around the world from slowly reopening. One of these is the Guggenheim Bilbao, which is the first major cultural institution in Spain to open since closures were enforced in mid-March. Now, Spain was one of the worst hit countries in Europe, with around 300,000 cases and more than 27,000 deaths. And the closures were enforced just a couple of weeks ago. I read about it on an article on the Los Angeles Times, and the director of the museum claims that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience the museum with less visitors and experience artworks more intimately. But here are a couple of things that caught my eye when I was reading about the regulations that are being enforced at the museum, and you tell me whether it sounds inviting. So first of all, 400 visitors are allowed in the museum at one time. This makes up for just 25% of its capacity. All visits are timed, not sure for how long. And once you're in, you can't just walk around as you desire. You have to follow a course that is specifically marked out by wall signs and floor arrows. Face masks are of course mandatory. And instead of touchscreens and audio guides, speakers play soundtracks out loud repeatedly, which I guess decreases the chance of socializing with other visitors, so double win. Oh, I feel like I should mention as well that only one person is allowed in the restrooms at one time. You know, just in case anyone with explosive diarrhea was thinking of going. There are only a few things that I enjoy doing more than visiting museums. But even I have to admit that there are several things about visiting one today that just seem very unappealing to me. It just seems stressful. For sure, they go against the way in which I personally like to experience museums in several ways. And yet, even I must admit that I have this incredible urge to visit the National Museum here in Prague, which I have never seen before. What I can do, and I've been thinking about this, is possibly go a few times. Maybe the first time, just walk through it as normal, make a note of the artworks that immediately grab me, but even just see how the various regulations are possibly affecting my experience. Then just go home, for a few days, just research the works that I noted and return to the museum for a more relaxed walkthrough, having familiarized myself with the place and the COVID-19 atmosphere. And you know what? Maybe I'll just do it for the sake of research and tell you all about it on an upcoming episode of The Art Movement, the episodes of which I take this opportunity to remind you can be streamed on Mixcloud, Spotify, and Podbean.